Paul, are you leading us this evening?
Sure. Let me just pull up the presentation.
All right.
I'll just leave your video up, big guy.
Is my screen shared?
No.
Okay.
So how's everybody feeling after the ice capades?
Feeling good. Just a slight knee bruise.
Yeah. Freon, you spent a lot of time on the ice.
I thought we weren't talking about that.
Yeah, well.
All right, it is 7:01. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mark, you ready to get going? Mark Huff?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and do that?
Okay. All right. So thanks for joining the meeting. Our agenda here will have a chairman update, operations update, recruitment and retention, and then some level setting information. Just are we all calling the same thing out there? So, Mark Huff, do you want to take over what the executive committee's been up to?
Safe inside somewhere. We want to look at bad weather. We want to advantage of process put in place last summer to do video calls over Zoom. So anyway, just a couple updates I want to provide. I did send an email out mid-month and gave
Is he breaking up for everyone else?
Yeah, I think we're not hearing you, Mark.
Okay. Is there a way to convert to Mark to the computer voice instead of the phone?
Just open your computer and click on the Zoom call and then hang up your phone.
Click on the link, yeah.
Okay. Is this any better, holding the microphone closer?
It is.
Okay, I'll try that for a while then. We did seat a disciplinary committee and wanted to thank Jim Russell for offering to participate, and he's our chairman. Ryan Haggerty from the society, and I see Ryan, you're on the phone. Thank you very much for also raising your hand and also representing the society on that disciplinary committee. And then Matt Easton out of Northern California, who's a referee and a judicial official out there, has also offered his services. So thanks for all that provided input, that voted in the process, and the three that make up that committee. Hopefully that's the last time we ever discuss that committee, because we have to use it. That is not good. But we have it in place just in case. We did complete the negotiation with Rugby Colorado on a new contract. We also completed discussions with Rocky Mountain Rugby on a rate increase. The net result of that is a $10 per match rate increase, Rugby Colorado, and a $5 per match rate increase for Rocky Mountain Rugby. Rocky Mountain Rugby is less because they actually pay a lot more currently than Rugby Colorado. The reason for the increase is just very simply to help facilitate closing the gap between our revenues and expenditures that we had last year. So if any of those folks are on the phone, because some of them are referees as well, we very much thank you for recognizing the importance of the services you provide, or that we provide to you, and that allowing us to proceed ahead with those rate increases. The referee and coaches survey, you've all received that. I know that Paul's going to talk about it a little bit. We really need those surveys in from everyone so we can finalize what the society's coaching needs are and developmental needs are for this season, and then what your individual needs and desires are as far as development and coaching for the season. So we really need you to go on to respond to the email, go on the site and complete the survey. I will say that USA Rugby is planning on sending out a survey. It's more of a nationwide approach, where ours is very focused, obviously. But don't be surprised if you see something from USA Rugby in the next few weeks as well. We have Ref-Up training for referees using Ref-Up, and that was very successful. We've since posted that, and that's available for everyone to see on our website. Law books have been ordered. Not quite sure when we're going to receive those, but when we do, we'll distribute those. We did reduce the number of books we ordered this year, because I know a lot of folks, including myself, just use the online app on our phones and pads. So anyway, but we will have some books for those that want to use the books. A couple other things before I talk about the Winter Social. I just wanted to hit on what Paul had mentioned and send a number of emails out. If we have anyone on the phone that is not registered for USA Rugby or has not completed all the requirements of USA Rugby, which includes a safe sport, we're in a very bad situation in that we are unable to put you on the pitch unless you have that registration. So it's vitally important that you go out and finish that. And I was asked by a referee the other day why. And the why is very simply, USA Rugby provides insurance to the referee out on the pitch, and that includes the ARs. And then we've got an obligation to USA Rugby to make sure that we don't put somebody out there that's not registered, that doesn't have insurance. So that's for the benefit of the society, the USA Rugby, the individual referee that's out there, and in all honesty, the executive committee, who can be held responsible as well. So we're trying to avoid that. So please get those registrations in, complete those requirements, the concussion protocol and the safe sport, so we can get you properly registered and put you in a ref up if you're not so already, so we can get you out on the pitch. The last thing is I just want to say we're doing something a little bit different with the agenda in that we have a topic called level setting. We put some stuff in there, and the idea is that when we all go out on the pitch, we're doing the same thing. And we appreciate everyone's time and patience as we go through that, and we very much would appreciate your input. But the idea is for these topics that everyone from the society is handling it the same way every weekend. So there's consistency amongst the society and consistency to our customers out on the pitch. So finally, I was going to ask Doug Robinson to say a few words about the Winter Social. We very much appreciate for all those who made it out, and for those that didn't, you missed a really good time, and we encourage you to try to make it next year. So with that, Doug, I'll let you add a few words about what we did and who survived and how we survived out there. Doug, are you there?
I see Doug on the phone.
Mark, unmute him.
Yeah. Oh, I need to unmute him?
If he doesn't know how, you can do it yourself.
There you go. Are you there, Doug?
No, he's still muted.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Doug. You're muted there.
Hey.
Sorry. Now you're good to go.
Oh. All right, thanks. Yeah, I was trying to unmute it and it wasn't working, so thank you for that. Yeah, great time had by all. We had a winter social, and it was a broomball event over at the Big Bear Ice Arena, and we had pizza and beers and sodas and water, and then had an exhilarating hour game on the ice where we had, I think it was 7-on-7, hats against no hats, and the Hats ended up pulling it out 3-2 in the end, but it's questionable. But we'll let them have that win this time around. Did have a couple bad falls and a couple slips, and just had a really good time. I did send a photograph of the group over to Paul. I'm not sure if you got that, Paul. But anyway, it was a good time had by all. Maybe somebody can throw that up on our Facebook link. And we did have some awards, but I think, Mark, you have those award winners, correct?
Muff?
Hello? Yep. If not,
Yeah, I got those.
Okay.
Oh, and unless you want to go ahead, Doug, but
yeah,
so,
I got them right here. I got them right here if you want me to. Okay.
Sure.
So we did have a unanimous selection for the MVP, and he was all over the place, mainly offense, a little bit of defense, but mainly offense. And Anani had a lot of hustle, a lot of participation, and he came away with the MVP award. And also there was an honorable mention. He was the only dude out there in shorts, so we gave him the honorable mention for wearing shorts the entire time. We did have a goon award, as in some hockey, there's goons out there, and Claire certainly took that hands down as our goon of the day. And our big Mike, he had the farthest to fall.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
You had to say why that Claire won that. It's unfair to Claire. So we were about 20 seconds in. It was really the first play of the hour-long game, and Claire and Emily collided, and Emily went down and got hurt and was never able to participate after that. So we, by unanimous consent, awarded Claire the Goon Award for her taking out of her opponent on the ice.
Yeah, correct. Thanks for reminding me of that. We did have a ballerina award, and that went to our big Mike. He had the farthest to fall, being the tallest out there, but certainly won the ballerina award. So congratulations, Mike. And our inspirational award went out to our own Joe Z. So congrats, Joe. You're certainly an inspiration.
All right. So any questions for me, guys? And before we move on to the operations report, and thanks to Doug for all the work he put in organizing that, because it really was a lot of fun, even though we spent a lot of time flat on the ice. So
no worries. Happy to do it.
So, okay. So
Thanks, Doug.
Yep.
With that, Paul, you're back on?
Okay, I'm back on. And I guess this is just the operations update, as Dan is traveling for work, and I don't believe he's able to make the call. So the survey that went out, he had a few back, but really not enough to, be as meaningful with it as we'd like to be. So please complete them, as Mark said earlier, and then we'll get them compiled and results will go out. And then Mark already mentioned ref up and membership and the importance of being registered with USA Rugby. So if you have not renewed your membership or responded to any of the 3 promptings you received, the ref up purge will happen. So if you're not currently a member and you're in ref up and you're not an active member of USA Rugby, you'll be removed from ref up. Doesn't mean you're gone forever. You're always welcome back, of course. It just means you have to complete your membership and then renew your sign up in ref up in order to participate on the pitch again as a referee. So that's it for operations, and we'll move on to recruitment and retention. So Rick Goldhammer, I think I saw you on the phone or online.
Yes, I will be brief. So our L1 course, level 1 referee course, is February 29th. So anyone that's sitting on the fence, shove them into that one. If they can't do that one, there's actually another one being put on at Infinity on March 8th, which is the following Sunday. So hopefully we can catch everybody that wants to do it this spring. Along those lines, if you are active with a club here in town or somewhere in the state, if you could reach out to me, that'd be awesome. I'd like to do some FaceTime with those clubs. We're going to do some visits to the practices, hopefully, and see if we can get anybody to shake loose and come take the class. On the retention side, look for some Six Nations viewing parties coming up once we figure out who's actually worth going to see. And last thing I have is refereeing can be a kind of a lonely, tough job. We all know that. So if you're having a tough time, if you just get chewed up in an individual match, or if you are feeling like you're not getting the team support you need from the society or whatever, please reach out to me. It's a safe space. I will try to get you talking to the right people or give you the advice I can give you. Don't feel like you're out there on your own ever. It's hard enough. So let's focus on team referee this spring. I think that's all I got for now. Thanks.
All right, hang on.
Thanks, Rick.
Someone's asking a question. Let me just try to pull that up and see if I can get that answered there. Looks like Trey, you raised your hand. Are you able to unmute yourself and ask a question? I don't see Trey's muted. I don't see. Trey, do you have a question? Can you chime in with that question of yours, Trey? If you have one.
Well, we see if Trey does that. Is there anyone that is new to Rocky Mountain referees. If this is your first meeting, in this case, our first call, can you just unmute yourself and identify yourself so we can say welcome?
Hey, Muff. This is Joe Burpo. I am coming into, moving into Arvada the week of February 17th, and I'll be there permanently.
Great. Welcome, Joe. And I live in Golden, so then I can do to help you. Let me know, since I'm a neighbor. Anyone else? First meeting, first call?
And then Trey messaged a question just that new to refereeing took to level 1 last fall. So welcome, Trey, and also want to make sure we get you added to the distribution list. So if you will just maybe email me your contact stuff and make sure the right information is in the right spot, someone will get you added to the distribution list.
Paul, it's in the chat.
Got you now in the chat. So cool, thanks. Any other new members out there? All right, I guess we'll move on to level setting, or a section we'll call, Are You Calling What I'm Calling? So this will be led by Mark Nelson. So Mark, do you want to control the screen, or just tell me when to change slides?
Yeah, so we're just going to quickly talk about everyone's favorite question you get asked at a pre-match chat. After you go and tell your teams what your expectations are, and then you have any questions, people will always say this question: when is the ball out? So we'll come back to this slide real quickly, but Paul, if you want to go down to that presentation. So pretty simple stuff. I would kind of have these answers ready to go for when you do get asked a question, but the ball is out when it is totally exposed and clear of the bodies of the players in the ruck. So when it's completely past the last feet, the ball's out. While there is a competition for the ball in a ruck and it's ongoing, the hands in the ruck is not allowed, and that should be a PK. Digging for the ball by a player of the team who has one possession of the ball, so the contest of the ruck is clearly over, and someone standing in the scrum half position can get in there and dig with it, that's allowed. And the ball is not out, as he has got his hands on the ball and he's digging it out. Okay? If that player in the scrum half position is not retrieving or digging for the ball, but holding on to the ball with one or more hands, the ball is still not out. So he could be at the back of the ruck, the ball's there, he's deciding he's going to go left or right, or he's trying to organize his teams, and he has hands on the ball, it's still not out. When he picks up that ball and lifts it off the ground, that's when it's out. And then once the ball is clearly won, and the player in the scrum half position, if they want to move that ball around to the back of the ruck for like a box kick, if they use their hands to move that ball to the back of the ruck, it's considered to be out. So they have to use their feet. If anyone who's watching Six Nations and any professional rugby in the last year World Cup, you can see everyone moving that ball with the back of their feet as they kind of set up for the box kick. So just something to kind of manage, all right? And then any player in the ruck, under no circumstance, may slap the ball out of a scrum half's hands or interfere with a scrum half at all. That's at least a penalty kick. Okay? Same thing in a maul. If players are in the maul, they can't interfere with a scrum half or interfere with them or slap the ball out of his hands. And lastly, the scrum, the ball is out when it is totally exposed and clear of all the bodies in the scrum. Or if the hindmost player detaches from the scrum with both his shoulders and the ball at his feet, and he attempts to pick up the ball is out. If you have any questions, or if there's any doubt if the ball is out or not, it's not out. Simple?
So Mark, what if that hindmost player in the scrum, the number 8, if you will, detaches, he's kind of tethered with two hands, but not bound, and the ball's under him? What's your call there?
So he's pushing it like a shopping trolley?
Well, that's a new phrase.
I would just tell him to use it.
And what do you tell the opposing scrum half who's wanting a piece of the ball?
Well, I wouldn't tell him he was out, but my guidance is, if you guys have any questions of whether the ball is out, ask. I'll make a judgment. But you're not just going to run around and say, ball's in, ball's out, ball's in, ball's out, right? And I also say, if you're wrong, you're liable for penalty. So that kind of puts them on like, is it out? Yes. Is it out? No, stay on. So if the 8-man or the hindmost player detaches and the ball's at his feet, just tell him to use it or pick it up. Hopefully he'll get the ball out. And that should signal the opposing number 9 to attack if he's legally onside. Got a question from Steve. When the ball reaches the feet of the hindmost player and it is picked up by that player or is played by that team scrum half. Yeah, well, there you go. Steve's quoting law. So, yeah, when it's picked up is the key of when that ball's out, Joe. If we want to go back to the tights or the penalty kicks, sorry. So it's good to kind of have a standard for quick tap penalties. Usually, kind of, I'm all about like letting the game flow if it's done correctly, and it's really our responsibility to kind of create the structures for those players that if they do it correctly, then we'll reward them. But if they don't, we're not just going to let kind of chaos ensue. So something I kind of tell players in my pregame, for any infringements at the ruck, the maul, the breakdown, the scrum, the mark tends to be buried. So if you want to go quickly at those infringements, kick the ball properly out of your hand on or behind the mark. Don't run to me because usually I'm never standing on the mark. If you have a question on where the mark is, you can ask and I'll point. And as long as, again, you kick the ball properly out of your hands, we're going to let you play. If they just tap it to their knee, tap it to their foot, or actually reach down and bounce it off their foot, that's not restarting the game. Does anyone want to tell me what would happen if that were to happen?
You just blow it and tell them to come back.
Yeah.
You turn it over.
A couple of years ago, it used to be a turnover scrum. It is not a turnover scrum. They changed that law about 2016, 2017. It's just a redo. So they have to come back because the game never started properly. So you have to come back and redo it. So real kind of a cheeky way to get out of not 10 penalties is never to stand on the mark, is back away when you blow a penalty. Always a scrum has to run to you. Quick tap, don't let them. And then you can just buy yourself a little space, get the team back 10. There's your mark, and then you can go. So it's just a way to kind of recreate structures. If they are a really good scrum half and really know what they're doing, and they go behind the mark and kick the ball properly out of their hands, by all means, let them play. But please set that standard of they actually have to kick the ball or put it on the ground and move it through the mark with their foot. Please have that standard. Don't referee down to players. Bring them up to your standard. Okay? Any questions on that? Looks like we have one in the chat. And M said it was a scrum. M, it is a reset. Just redo it, right? We're going to talk about tights. So a few years back when Derek was our chairman, Rocky Mountain Rugby referees had a policy to allow tights in inclement weather and on turf for player welfare. USA Rugby has since just come out with a new policy that took it out of the referee's hands and put it back into the unions and governing bodies. So we proposed this question to the Rocky Mountain GU and Rugby Colorado and got conflicting answers. So yay for us. So for the policy for youth and high school is that tights are allowed in inclement weather and on turf. Okay, they have to be cotton blend with one inseam. That's per law. And in rugby, in Rocky Mountain Rugby, tights are not allowed. Okay. And then we're going to go through one last little bit, which is this the simplified dangerous tackle protocol. I don't know if you've all seen the protocol that came out from World Rugby a few years ago. I'm sure you all have, but it had this flow chart that kind of went over here and did that. However, Richard just simplified this pretty easily, and we'll just kind of go through this right now. So as your ARs and referees, kind of really read this language and try and communicate to your referees or your ARs or to the players, just basically the words that are contained in this document. And through that, you should be able to lead to the right sanction, okay? So for a shoulder charge, if there is direct contact to the head or neck, it's a red card. If there's not direct contact, but there's a high degree of force, a high degree of danger, it's a yellow card. And one more, if there's no direct contact and a low degree of danger, it's a penalty only. All right, moving on. If it's a high tackle with a shoulder or to the head and direct contact to the head, so it could be like a high tackle and my head hits your head, or it's a high tackle, it's a tackle with a shoulder, like his arm is actually up, but his shoulder still hits the head or the neck, right? That is a red card with a high degree of danger. And it's a yellow card when the impact is low and there's a low degree of danger. So pretty much always going to be a red or yellow card with contact to the head. If it's a high tackle with the arm and direct contact with the head or neck, this is just the arm, not a shoulder. If the degree of danger is high, it's a red card. And the degree of danger is low, it is a yellow card. So they're really, really emphasizing player welfare and safety. If you pretty much make a contact with the head or neck, it's going to be one of these two sanctions. All right. And then over the shoulder seatbelt tackle. Oh, sorry, one more. A high tackle with the arm with indirect contact. So it starts on the body or starts on the shoulder and then kind of slips up in the process. If the high degree of danger, it's a yellow card, and if it's a low degree of danger, it's a penalty only. And then the last one, pretty much all high seatbelt tackles, which is like running from behind and just throwing an arm over a shoulder, it's a penalty only. Okay. Some of the factors you could use as an assistant referee to aggravate or mitigate the penalty or the sanction are, some of the aggravating factors are, the tackler was clear in open space. It was a one-on-one tackle and he had time to make a decision. So you can see in his setup that he set up and chose to tackle high, right? One more, Paul. And then it was a deliberate action. He purposefully went out and tackled that. He didn't just throw his arm out there, but he purposely went and tackled that high. So those are aggravating factors. So it could be a not direct contact with a shoulder charge when the danger is low, but he had time to make the decision and it was a deliberate action. Maybe you could escalate that to a yellow card. Some of the mitigating factors to talk down is the tackler attempts to make a change in height to lower himself. So he starts high, but I'm too high. I'm going to lower myself into it. And that's a mitigating factor that could come down. The ball carrier also drops in height. Okay, we see that a lot. That's a mitigating factor. And then the tackler is unsighted. There could be a body in between him, or he just came out of a ruck and just kind of threw his arm out there. Some other mitigating factors that's not listed on here is if you are like don't have a clear picture of a very, like, we don't have TMO in a lot of our leagues, really in any of our leagues. So if you don't have a clear and obvious picture of direct contact to the neck with the shoulder, that could also be a mitigating factor. Right? So let's see what we have in the chat. Nothing in the chat. So it's just a little bit of a picture to kind of like, if it's X, then it's Y. Okay?
Hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
So can you just give a real quick example of the differences between a high degree of danger and like a low degree of danger?
Yeah. So basically, as a player is running into it, and a high degree of danger would be like the force of him, or the danger of him, like he gets hit so hard that his feet come out underneath him and he goes backwards. Or if it's not a high degree of danger, it's just he gets tackled hard, but he still continues forward with the momentum of the tackler and the ball carrier, that kind of thing. So I hit you and you bounce off me and you go backwards, that would be like high degree of danger. Or I hit you hard, but we both fall forward, that might be a low degree of danger. Sorry that we had one more question in the chat. Can you define indirect contact? So indirect contact with the neck would be, I wrap the body up, I tackle him in a bear hug, or maybe just with the arm and it hits his shoulder and then slips up and he pulls on his neck. So that would be indirect contact. Or he hits someone in the shoulder with a chest, but then stands up and his shoulder then slips up into his neck or his chin. That might be indirect contact. Whether he's just running right into him and he just blasts the guy in the chin with his shoulder, that would be direct contact. Does that answer your question, Trey? And yes, Ryan, this will be sent out. Any other questions? Any other questions?
So what we'll do, and I'm sorry, Mark, but Paul, if we can get your help, these level setting items, we'll send those out separately to everyone. And I would encourage you to keep this in your kit bag and review it regularly. It only takes a second before a game just to kind of go through it. Again, just to remind yourselves all these factors that are involved.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Is there any way with these descriptions kind of pulled out that you could put a clip with those when you send them out to everyone that demonstrates the different specifics that you're going over?
There was some things from World Rugby that was sent out. So basically, there's a good presentation. We just kind of redid the graphic, because once you see the old graphic, it was really terrible. But and we'll send this out, but if you Google World Rugby High Tackle Protocol, there's a great video on there, and it just goes through clips. It just goes through clips and it says, this is a high degree, this is a direct contact to the neck with a high degree of force, right? And this is a red card. And it goes through pretty much everyone. It's just that the graphic was a nightmare to look at it. I'll see if I can pull it up while the meetings go on and send a link in here.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on level setting is just, are you calling what I'm calling is the concussion as a referee, and it's recognize and remove. It's kind of the two key words there. So I can bring this up. We'll play a short video here. And it's not playing there, so let me see if I can find it on YouTube real quick. Dang it.
Pick up one of those purple mattresses.
Concussion. I suffer from it, and we've all heard about it.
But how many of us are in danger of ignoring it?
Concussion is an injury to the brain. The consequences can be serious and irreplaceable. There's a chance you've had one, not too many out there. Use your head and get off the field.
Protect yourself and protect your teammates.
By recognizing the symptoms and helping them make the right decision.
We can all help protect rugby players at every level of the game. So basically what we're saying is recognize empathy.
As a player, you can be your own first line of defense. If you need any of them, either in a match or afterward, get yourself off the bench, get assessed for your mental stuff. What they tell you, and only get back out there if they say you're ready.
That includes training, and remember, take extra care and time with children and young players. Stay off the park for at least 2 weeks after the symptoms clear.
Whether you're a test captain or a club player, the risk of concussion is something we're all into.
Recognize empathy.
All right, so just a brief video there, kind of really being shown just to demonstrate the signs and symptoms. And this document, I hope you can all see well, is USA Rugby's document, and we'll just focus on this last column here is I am the referee, and during the match. And basically, if you see what you think is a concussion, player is acting strange or was tackled or went to the ground with a high degree of force and believe there could be a concussion, you know, you have the obligation and the duty and the authority to have that player removed from the field. You're not saying they have a concussion. You're not making a diagnosis. You're just saying they're not going to play in this match anymore because I believe they're injured and should not continue.
Hey, Paul,
Yep.
I know I am, and I think some others are. They're just seeing what YouTube right now.
Okay.
So just the end of the YouTube video.
All right. Thanks for that. Let me see what's going on there.
Just change this chair.
Is that there yet?
No, change your share screen. Still no. There you go.
Okay. All right, again, this is a USA Rugby document, and we're just focusing on the column down here on the far right-hand side, and we'll send this out, of course, just talking about what to do during a match, after a match, and if you see someone you refereed the week before, maybe just keep track of that. So unless there's a concussion expert on the phone who'd like to take over this discussion, it's just a reminder that as referees, you do have the authority and the obligation to remove a player if you believe they're injured. There is no HIA in any rugby any of us are refereeing, and a trainer is not really qualified to say no, they're not concussed. So if you can say, oh, they hurt, they're not hurt, but really it's not about, if you suspect they're concussed, you have the obligation and the right to remove them from the game. And that's really, I think, all I have to say, unless Mark or also something else to add. That's really all we're going to say.
I got a little bit to add, Paul, to
Yeah.
that. And we often run into a situation, a lot of our games have trainers. And so the logical inclination is let the trainer decide whether the person is concussed. And I do that all the time. But one, if we're not comfortable with the trainer's determination that the person is not concussed, we still have the right to ask that player to leave. The other thing that I would encourage you, we all do, is just very simply, if a trainer takes a player off the field to do an evaluation of whether this person is concussed, that player cannot return. Oftentimes, the trainer will stand, if the trainer stands in the field of play with the player out of the way of play, and you restart play, then the player has not left the pitch. And at the next stoppage, that player can then resume play. But if the trainer takes them across the try line and out of the field of play, they cannot return, period. So obviously we want to use our discretion here, and we want to err on the side of safety on this. But I would like to see us all, treating that situation where the trainer takes the player off the playing field the same way. So if they substitute for the player, obviously the player cannot come back, period. That player has to leave the pitch. You cannot do an on-pitch evaluation for that player. So, and again, any doubts, just get them out of the game. So, Mark, did you have anything? Mark Nelson, did you have anything to add?
No. No.
Okay, so I think unless there are any other questions about stuff, and of course this will all go out as we've said later. That's all the material that I had prepared, unless someone else in the executive committee had something else that came to their mind that they wanted to share.
I did want to share some recognition. We had some people selected for some assignments that we do want to recognize. For PRP this year, Mike Lawrenson was selected as a center referee for those games and representing our organization. And Bob Warner has been selected as a coach for PRP. So when you see these guys, please congratulate them. From Major League Rugby, we've had the honor of having a number of our folks recognized. And we'll be participating with Major League Rugby this year. And that includes Mark Nelson, Steve Gore, Rick Goldhammer, Chris Huff, and Mike Lawrenson. So if I've missed anyone, I apologize. And please feel free to speak up if I've missed anyone.
Newly member Joe Burbo will also as a Major League Rugby participant.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and thanks, Joe. And so congratulations to everyone who's been selected for those honors. So we very much appreciate your hard work that put you in that position. Does anyone have any questions before we adjourn? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Games are on Rough Up. We had a couple last weekend, and so we're getting started. We look forward to a great season, and it will be a very busy season. This is the busiest part of our season because of the number of the high school games, the boys' high school games that we have, in addition to our regular Rocky Mountain Rugby, and then the other regional and national assignments. So we look forward to a successful season. And if there's anything we as a executive committee can do or could do better, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to have that dialogue with you. So, and we've got a couple chats here. Kevin says congratulations. So does anybody have any questions or any more items they want to put in the chat room? Okay. So don't see any. So with that, we'll sign off, and thank you very much for taking the time out to spending your evening with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the pitch.